You are now listening to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. Coach L3.
Hi, welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where I am your host, Leslie Latimore-Lorfils, affectionately known as Coach L3. As a mother of 12, who has also served as a senior military officer for nearly 3 decades alongside my husband, I can certainly understand and appreciate who I call the 3C sisters: crazy, chaos, and confusion. If you are an executive level mom, mompreneur, or lady leader who perhaps still struggles with burnout, you have come to the right place where you can receive strategies and tips on how to pivot with poise and conquer the noise. I invite you to take this journey with us to increase your clarity, your confidence, and to conquer the overwhelm. Hope to see you there.
Coach L3.
Hey girl, hey. Welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. We are back. We're so excited that you are here and that you're listening in. And today we have such a special guest to grace our presence in the name of Dr. Sarah Jefferis, who is so super amazing. She was actually one of my dynamic speakers at my very first live event that was held September of 2024. And let me tell you, this beauty here absolutely brought the house down. And you all know that Girl Organize That Life podcast, we're here to empower executive level women, moms, mompreneurs, lady leaders who may still struggle with burnout and overwhelm. And here we give you tools and strategies to help you to pivot with poise. And so today, Dr. Sarah Jefferis is here to talk to us in terms of what it means to write and how that can fit into an executive level woman's life. But before we get into the juicy potatoes, I just have to share a few awesome things about Dr. Sarah. So first of all, she is a mother of 2 dynamic young ladies. I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous and they are amazing in their own right. And she is from New York, Ithaca, New York. And I believe that's kind of like way up there. It's a little cold compared to where I am. But yeah, she is a New Yorker. She's a yoga instructor, in addition to being the most brilliant writer, one of the most brilliant writers I have known. She has personally helped my daughter cross over a big hurdle in one of her assignments for college, and I'm just so grateful to that. She has also experienced in facilitating group yoga classes and mat to pen workshops in the corporate higher educational spaces, where she also combines her gifts to support her private clients. Is that not amazing, or is that not amazing? Oh my gosh. Let's see, what else do I want to say about Dr. Sarah? And I'm going to give her a chance to take the floor. She also has research interests that includes poetry, narrative medicine, meditation, diversity and equity, and belonging and justice. She holds an MFA from the Cornell University and a PhD in writing from SUNY. How do I say this? Binghamton. I think I'm saying that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
She has several published books, 2 poetry books, as well as essays and short stories and literary journals. I'm telling you all, she is amazing. Not only that, listen to me. She is a TEDx speaker and she speaks about writing as medicine. Oh, that is so good. Some of us probably don't even think of writing as medicine unless you're deliberately talking about a journal. But Dr. Sarah Jefferis is going to go in a little deeper. And she's going to talk about how writing specifically can help us, as it can be medicine for us busy executive women. So Dr. Sarah, welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. I'm so excited to have you. And I'm so anxious for these listeners to hear what you have to offer. So I'd like to open the floor to introduce yourself again, something else I may not have said that you want your listeners to know. And then we're going to go right into it and give them the meat and potatoes and the juiciness tonight. How are you?
Thank you so much, Leslie, for having me. It's my honor. It was my honor to speak with you in September at your first live event, which really transformed lives and moved so many hearts, mine included. And it's an honor to be here on the podcast. I'm Dr. Sarah Jefferis. I'm the CEO of Write Now, a writing business that believes we can use writing and yoga to move from grief to joy. And I don't know about you, Leslie, but it's nice if we lean a little closer to joy and a little
Yeah.
further away from grief these days.
Yes.
So
Abs-
thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell me, in your experience, being a dynamic writer and a dynamic speaker, tell us, how can writing help us
You
if you're
know,
frazzled and just feeling, like a lot is going on?
yes, I actually believe that we cannot heal from what we don't speak, but
Mm.
some of us have introverted days or introverted hours or introverted weeks, really, and we can't heal from what we don't write. And there's a great study I was just looking at, it's Harvard research, and they tell us that trauma actually damages brain tissue. But when
Oh.
people, if we can imagine this moment for executive mamas who are very busy, actually write down their emotional experience at the end of the day into words on the page, it changes the way the experience is organized in their brain. So it
Mm.
opens up creative space to move from a limiting belief to a leadership belief. It opens up space in the brain, increasing our plasticity, and actually helping us have an ability to pivot.
The ability to pivot.
The
And we
ability to
all know
pivot.
that here at Girl Organize That Life, we say pivots with poise,
Yes,
despite the noise. That is confirmation. So if I'm
it's,
hearing you correctly in what you just said, trauma affects the brain adversely,
yes,
and writing can reverse some of that by reprogramming and reconfiguring the brain.
yes,
Wow,
yes.
that's major.
It is major, especially when we are writing it with our hand or typing it out, because we are reworking the experience and reimagining possibilities, reimagining a new narrative, reimagining a new outcome. Our
Mm.
imagination can actually inspire us to grow, but it can actually heal our tissues and heal
Wow.
our brain. And
Heal
the
our
page,
tissue, heal our brain.
I think the page holds a future self. I think it holds a future self that the present self is looking for.
Wow.
So when we are writing on the page, I think we can call in that self who has larger leadership beliefs, who
Mm.
has larger goals, who is a visionary, that the present self is like itching to meet, right? That the present, I grew up in Virginia, so I might say itching. The present self is like wanting to meet. And so I really believe that whether it's a morning practice of gratitude or, when I lay in bed at night, I actually write down 4 things that I did well.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I don't know about you, I'll run the to-do list. I'll run the mistake list. And
Yes.
then I
Yes.
go into sleep thinking of all the mistakes. Like, that's not helpful to my dream world. So I actually will say, good job, Sarah. You kept 2 children alive today. Good
Yeah.
job, Sarah. You helped these particular clients. Good job, Sarah. You went to the gym, right? So I think it is important to speak kindly to ourselves, to change the internal narrative. But I think it is even more important to write kindly to ourselves.
Mm. Wow. And studies, and correct me if I'm wrong, have shown that when you write versus just visually trying to see it or think it, it solidifies longer in your brain. Like you can
Yes,
remember it more because you wrote it down.
yes,
So if I, oh my gosh, that was so rich. I knew that writing was good. They tell you to journal and that it's therapeutic, but I'm still stuck on the reconfiguration of your brain when you write.
yeah.
And particularly, obviously, if you're writing something that's positive. And so, talking to that scatterbrained, overwhelmed, overworked, over everything, that woman that doesn't feel like she has that time for herself, that she's everything to everybody, and she's like at her wits' end. What would you say to her in those moments?
Mm, that's a great question. I think I would say 2 things.
Mm.
The first is, I would say, from scripture, write the vision and make it
Make
plain.
it plain. Ooh.
So that you can run to it and that you can run with it. So I think having a daily vision statement, a family vision statement, a yearly vision statement, I think is incredibly important. And having that vision statement like on the post note by your computer or on your screensaver or on your board. And the second thing I would actually say is a writing prompt where you write a letter with your dominant hand to your little girl self, telling her all the things you have accomplished. And then you switch hands and write a letter in your non-dominant hand. So I just went to left because I'm right-handed, from the little girl back to the older self.
Oh.
And in doing that, the little girl inside of you, and your handwriting might be messy and your O's might be crazy, right? And your T's might, because you're used to writing with one hand, right? Writing that letter, right? So I might say, dear, okay, so my middle name is Beth. No one calls me Sarah Beth, but when I was little, that was what. So I might say, dear Sarah Beth, right? But as a little girl, in my left hand, I might write, dear Dr. Jefferis, or
Love
dear
it.
Sarah, right? And that little girl letter back to your grown self is one of saying how grateful you are, of saying thank you for taking care of me, of saying I'm with you. Because I offered this writing prompt because the overworked, overbusy, brain activated, like needs to take a moment and pause, remember their vision, but also remember that the little girl inside of them is so proud of how far they came.
So good.
It's so far, it's so proud. And that little girl is wanting to cheer you on.
Wow.
And that little girl loves you, right? But I think switching hands, I do this exercise a lot, switching hands actually helps me activate that. And for me, it's activating that little poor girl in Virginia who no one planned for her to go to college, who was hungry all the time, who loved singing in church, right? And for her to say, you got me this far. You got me to graduate school. You got me to New York. You kept me alive, right? The other thing I was thinking too is that Viktor Frankl says between stimulus and response, we can pause. And so you asked me, what would I tell the severe, wild, beautiful, powerful, busy executive woman? Take a pause.
Take a pause.
Take a pause. Right? Are you willing to do that interior weather report? Are you willing to just pause and say, my interior weather report today says sunny with a few clouds, right? Are you willing to do that? And then are you willing to write your vision and make it plain? And then are you willing to go deep and thank that little girl inside you? I hope this has been helpful.
It's so good. To you all that are listening or watching, that was just a whole drops mic. That's what we do here. We try our best to bring value to you that's going to really propel you to your next. And so, Dr. Sarah, the kind of just recap, I heard trauma causes adverse actions to the brain. Writing positively can reconfigure that brain to something else and to help your tissues to heal. My gosh. And then it sounds like even the busy executive woman, mom, lady leader, mompreneur, whichever category you fall in, writing intently with your dominant hand and then switching to your non-dominant hand from your older self to your younger self to your older self, affirming will eventually, in the end, open up your capacity to actually do more.
Yes.
But I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's so good.
because it integrates the younger self with the older self. And for those of us who are moms and entrepreneurs, some of the hardest moments of negotiation for me are when my younger self shows up. And I got to tell her, girl, I got you. And she's like, do you? And I go, I got you.
Yeah.
Right? We're not hungry anymore.
Right.
Right? And so if you integrate the younger self, whether she's 10 or 15 or 7 or 9, with the fierce entrepreneur, then in the long run, not only can you pivot, but your bottom line is stronger and your leadership beliefs are stronger.
So good. So good. This is so good. And
It's
so,
my honor.
oh, this is just so good. I need to go write tonight. I think I'm just gonna write those 4 things down. Leslie, you've whatever accomplishments I did today, and happy Veterans Day to me today.
Yes.
We're gonna
Yes.
talk about that too. And just to give a transparency moment to the listeners, because one thing about here, we believe in authenticity. I had a feeling of just that feeling of melancholy, I guess is the word I want to use. And of course, you know, where the mind goes, the man follows. So I was like, okay, get your thoughts right. And what are you thinking about? And because you talked about that, you know, even our thoughts. So I am going to not only just work with my thoughts, but I'm going to put those 4 affirmations on paper tonight.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Thank
You're
you for that. This was so good. So tell me, I know that someone that's listening to this are saying, I need to know Dr. Sarah, because I know that's how I was when I first met you. I need to know this lady. If someone would like to work with you closer or connect with you, how do they do
Yes.
that?
Oh, that's such a great question. So you can find me at www.sarahjefferis.com or drjefferis.write, that's WRIT.now for Instagram. And again, I work with clients who are trying to finish their poetry books or their memoirs. I'm happy to work with busy executives who want to make the book their next stream of income. I also do writing workshops, yoga workshops, and then of course the speaking engagements. But if you want to inquire about what it's like to write with me and to have me help you get from the idea of a book to a finished product, you can find me again at sarahjefferis.com or Dr. Jefferis right now on Instagram.
This is so good. I am just so super excited. And just so you all know too, ladies, if you're out there and you're needing some accountability, you're needing a community that is full of integrity, and you're needing someone to help you along your journey, Dr. Sarah Jefferis is also a coach in my program to help us to get to our next. So I'm just letting you all know she is such a treat to have, and she is so wonderful to work with. I am so grateful that you took the time to spend with us today. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And to you listeners that's out there, couple of key announcements. Girl Organize That Life. We are going on our first Pivot with Poise. See, we talked about Pivot with Poise City Tour. And we're making our first stop in San Antonio, Texas. And then our next stop in Dallas. And we will be hitting a total of 10 cities. So please go to pivotwithpoise.com. Get on the waiting list. And if you're near San Antonio or Dallas, the tickets are live. So go ahead and jump in and get your seat. And oh, by the way, Dr. Sarah Jefferis will be speaking in every city. So there again, there's an opportunity to meet her in the flesh, to work with her in person. I am so super excited about what is happening and what's to come. If you found this episode to be of value to you and you have some key takeaways, please, I want you to like, subscribe, tell your friends to like and subscribe as well, and leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing. And if there are other subjects and areas that you would like to see us expound on, feel free to share your thoughts as well. Meanwhile, make today an amazing day. And in between time, remember to pivot with poise despite the noise. Bye for now.
Coach L3.